Welcome to Meet the Chef series. I'm your host, Chef Stephanie Adaska. The Meet the Chef series is a new program we're doing in conjunction with the Home Garden Flower Show Mayfair that takes place every May. And this special cooking series, what we're doing is we are bringing guest chefs that are attending and doing cooking demos at the Home Garden Flower Show, and we're bringing him into the kitchen here, and we are located at the wonderful kitchen of House to Home by Chick Lumber, our sponsor for the Home Garden Flower Show Mayfair. Today's guest, we have special guest Eric Milligan from New Hampshire Mushroom Company in Tamworth, and I want to welcome him, and he's going to be making a fantastic mushroom dish today. And what are we making, Mr. Eric Milligan, my friend?
I've just been calling it Crock-Pot Kings.
Crock-Pot Kings?
Well, it's wintertime, and I cook a lot in the crock-pot during the wintertime. So I kind of got this recipe that kind of still has meat in it, of course, but kind of brings our king oyster right to the front. This is one that we've cooked together before on TV.
Yes, we have.
And we've grilled it and made it really crunchy or more like a scallop. This is now going to bring out the soft texture of this mushroom.
Okay.
A whole different flavor profile on it.
Okay. And where can the local residents here get your king mushrooms?
You can always buy them at the farm, right in Tamworth, but you also pick them up locally at the local grocer.
Okay.
They're also in a couple of dozen restaurants here in the North Country. A lot of the Valley Originals carry our products.
Yes, I see every restaurant I go to, every new restaurant, they seem to be adding your mushrooms in the menu. That makes me super happy.
Me too.
So tell us a little bit about what's going to be going on here and go through the process of this wonderful dish.
Well, what's nice about doing things in the crock pot is that I can do this the night before. And then just do some prep work. We'll throw in the crock pot, you set it, the next day it's going to be done.
Set it and forget it?
Set it and forget
Rock
it.
on.
We're going to go Ronco style.
Ronco style, all right.
As soon as I figure out how to turn this stove on, oh wait, it is on.
It is on.
All right, that's a hot pan.
That's a hot pan.
I'm
We
gonna
like hot
need
pans. Always start with a hot pan.
Yes, and we need a stirring device. First thing I'm going to do is just take a couple of onions, 5 or 6 shallots, about a half a head of garlic.
Okay.
It can all be a pretty rough chop because when it goes into the crock pot at night, most of it is going to cook down.
Gotcha.
I also use shallots because for some reason, and I've been asking, what's the flavor profile of a shallot?
Wonderfulness, sweetness.
Well, sort of, it's like an onion and a garlic had a baby. And it pairs really well with mushrooms. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a lot of butter in because it's going to be the base of your gravy after.
So what's that, about 2 sticks of butter there?
No, I have 2 sticks. Well, I put in probably about a half a stick of butter.
That's more, oh, right now. Okay.
Right,
I'm
for
saying
it,
that,
yeah.
that looks like about 2 sticks. They're
Yep.
close
And
to
so
it.
what I'm doing here is just sweating down all of our onions and our shallots. I left the garlic big because if you cut the garlic really small, you can have a tendency to burn it.
So are we putting them in a whole close?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Just put a little color on it.
So rock it on all in there, right?
Put it all in there, a little salt, bring that moisture out.
Perfect.
This is also going to be the salt for the base.
Now you said the shallot, from your perspective, is kind of like when garlic and onion had a baby.
Yeah.
And I kind of get that, but they're all from the allium family, and the shallot is, and I find it tends to be a little bit milder and a little bit sweeter than a regular white onion or a Spanish onion, and it's not as sharp or pungent as what a garlic would be.
Or like a red onion.
Yeah.
Because I
or
use
like a red onion.
A sweet onion too on that.
Like a Vidalia onion or.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Or where it just said sweet onion.
Okay, sweet. Vidalia is specifically a location, but yes, you can get sweet onions anywhere.
Okay, so we're just going to sweat the onions, the garlic, and the shallots. It takes about 7 or 8 minutes.
And you're just looking for them to get the onions to get translucent and everything to soften up a little bit.
I like to actually get a little bit of brown on it.
Brown, okay.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you browned the butter a little bit too. Is that intentional? Because the pan was nice and hot and the butter kind of caramelized
I want
a
it to
little bit.
sizzle. I want it to sizzle. I want to draw that water out. I want those to sweat.
Excellent.
So once those are all sweated down, into the crock pot they go, and they just let them set. While the pan, see, I keep that one pan, and the next thing that you can do, and this is kind of a neat trick that I learned. This is going to be a beef base, and what I do is I put some flour on it.
Okay.
And then a bunch more butter, because what that does is get that meat to be nice and crispy, and that it also just sears the outside of it.
Right.
and the flour helps thicken the sauce for our
course,
gravy
sure.
after. Now this beef here, I try to source all of my proteins locally.
Okay.
This particular beef came from CJ Farm, the meat house at
Okay,
CJ, and
sure.
they're located in Columbia, New Hampshire. You know what? There's something really special about being able to talk to the farmer that grows your food.
Of course.
Where we're growing mushrooms, but like, you know what? I love your mushrooms because I know you. I know that you're the one that's growing them. I mean, when I can talk to a person, I say that's growing proteins, and he can tell me exactly the food that went into that
Sure.
animal, making their own grain, growing their own grains.
Are you finding that more people that come into the mushroom, your business and come into New Hampshire Mushroom want to hear about the whole story of how you grew your mushrooms or how you grow your mushrooms and the different kinds of mushrooms that you have?
Yes, quite a bit actually. We had so much of an interest in it. We do a farm tour every Sunday at noon.
Every Sunday noon.
Yeah.
And that's in
every Sunday at
Tamworth.
noon.
Give us the address while we're talking about it.
The address is 153 Gardner Hill Road. We're about a mile from the center of town.
Right.
Yep, you can just give us a call, and on our website there's a map that shows
It's
where
super
we are.
easy to get to, and it is.
Google gets you close.
Google
It
gets
you close. But my neighbors are fully, they just point on a Sunday.
They're over that way. Keep
they're-
going. Keep
they're
going.
over in that way.
Excellent. So we're going to flour this, correct?
Yes. So I just dump in a little bit of flour into it, and that's why I have it in this plastic bag. It just makes life a lot easier and a lot less messy. It's a pretty precise measurement.
I can see that.
It's one dollop.
Now, do you season the flour before you do it, or do you season the meat?
I
when
did.
you
I put a
cook
little
it?
bit
You
of
did
salt and pepper in
Okay,
that. Yeah. Sometimes I'll just salt and pepper the beef
Sure.
in here. So if we just close
good. I
this
am
up.
here to help, by the way. So, like, if you want to.
Oh,
give me
you
a
just
chore,
wait until we
'cause-
make gravy.
Okay.
Here, you want to shake that
well,
up?
yeah.
I'm going to get the pan on and throw some butter. Really
Yes,
high heat
high
again.
heat. And we're not going to crowd the pan, folks. We are going to do this in 2 stages, maybe 3, because what we want to do is we want to get a nice brown caramelization on the meat, which is going to help give a nice crispiness on the outside, but it's also going to help bring some flavor into the gravy as we make it. Right, Chef?
That was one of the first things that I had learned when I'm like, why don't I get my meat when I'm cooking it on the stove to look like it does at a restaurant?
Right.
I'm like, how do they get it nice and crispy?
Yeah,
That's
and
because as immediately as I put any food into the pan,
And I did wash my hands.
I
though.
just start stirring and stirring and stirring and stirring.
And I'm going to add
Until
a
I,
little bit
you
more
know,
flour here.
Learned a little bit of patience and just let things cook.
That's the key. A lot of people want to play with the meat. Once they put it in the pan, you just got to just kind of set it and forget it for a second because
Right.
it's important.
You
So
don't want
are
to
you
spend
ready?
a lot of time playing,
Almost ready
playing
for,
with the
no,
meat.
you don't. Because then what happens, if you don't cook it up enough, you're not going to get the brown fond on the bottom of the pan, which is going to help carry the flavor over into your dish.
And
And
it-
also what happens is it tends to kind of get gray and ugly looking, so you want to get nice and,
And
are we ready?
chewy.
And chewy.
Yep.
We're ready.
Cool. Right.
We want to, again,
And
we don't-
again, I added a lot of butter to this because I'm thinking where with these mushrooms, which by the way also have a lot of protein in them. You know, there's 5 grams of protein in a king oyster for every serving. Fresh.
Really?
Yep.
And how much is a serving in terms of ounce?
Less than a
perspective?
quarter of a pound fresh.
Really?
Yeah. So we are doing a lot with vegetarians using this as a protein
That
source.
was I was going to say. The texture on these mushrooms are fantastic. So if you are a vegetarian or you just like the taste of mushrooms, these grill up really well. They saute up very well, and you can roast them as well in the oven, right? Grill
All of
them?
it, all
Yeah.
of it. That's why the king oyster is really one of our most popular mushrooms because it is so versatile. The flavor profile, the texture of that species can change depending on how you're cooking it.
Right.
I mean, I remember when we had them on the grill, and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
almost like a scallop quality to that. Also, it completely changes when you do into a cream sauce.
Sure. So now it's just to hurry up and wait till it
Hurry
cooks.
up and
and
wait. So I'll
don't
grab
touch.
some tongs here.
But don't touch again.
Resisting the urge
I
to
know
turn
it
this.
is. It is amazing how much you really
So
want to touch
while
it.
that's cooking a little bit, what we can do is, I mean, we're going to layer this crock pot. The onions, the shallots, and the garlic went into it. What also I need to add into that is, you know, again, a dollop.
That's a
of
large
beef
dollop.
base.
That is approximately, I would say that's close to 3 tablespoons.
About
would
3
you say?
tablespoons.
That's what I would
Yeah,
guess.
I don't really go to the directions on it because I want this to be a nice,
Rich.
beefy,
Yes.
thick. And of course, you can do this all vegetarian.
Okay.
And also get it, you know, you can get a veg
So you would
base.
use a vegetable base and obviously eliminate the meat and just put more mushrooms in the dish, right? Is that
Exactly,
about it?
or maybe one of the other species. Because every species of mushroom that we grow has a different flavor profile, different texture.
Right.
You know, elm oysters in this would be great.
Elm.
Chestnut
Have I met the elm oyster yet?
Elm looks like an oyster mushroom, but it's not. It's got some funk on it. We
I don't know if I
sell
know
a
that
lot with
one.
people that have game meats. It's great with pork. It's great pickled.
Okay, pickled. You haven't done any pickled for me yet, so.
No, pickled mushrooms are great.
Now this is sizzling away here, and I'm getting close to wanting to flip it over, but we're gonna wait about another 30 seconds or so, and then we're gonna flip it over, and we'll show you the nice brown crispiness on the outside. And you're gonna put the beef base into
I'm going
the
to put the beef
crock pot,
base
right
into the
on
crock
top.
pot. I just put it right on top. What's nice about the crock pot is that it goes all night and all of these flavors incorporate. Doesn't have to be pretty in the crock pot.
Right.
And really, this entire dish can be done in about 10 minutes or so. It usually takes me about 90.
To prepare. It takes
Yes.
10 minutes to prepare, and then it takes, you said you let it overnight to cook it,
I put it
correct?
in the crock pot on low overnight.
Okay.
So it goes about, I would say 6 hours on low. And then I just put it on keep
Little bit.
warm. I put it on
Okay.
keep warm for the day.
Okay.
Stir it, take a
Excellent.
bite as the day goes on. And then I do the final prep at the end of it. So here's an optional ingredient
I
that
love
we
this.
can throw into this.
This is fantastic.
All right, this is going to kick it up a notch where when you have your guest over for dinner, they're going to say, what is that little thing that's in that I don't know? This is porcini powder. Porcini is a wild mushroom. It's by far one of top 3 wild mushrooms. Can be really expensive fresh, and they don't last very long.
Right.
But if you can dry it and powder it, again, a really versatile ingredient.
Now tell the folks here where you got that. Did you order it online, or did you buy it at a gourmet shop or something?
What's interesting is that there's not a lot of mushroom farmers in the Northeast. So we actually sell mushrooms to other mushroom farmers. So for example, Oyster Creek Mushroom in Damariscotta, Maine, she buys our fresh mushrooms and we buy her oils and her powders and her drieds.
Oh, okay.
So this happens to be porcini powder
So you do a
from
little
wild
sloppy,
forage
just a little
mushrooms
sloppy,
in
sloppy.
Maine. Yep.
It's actually very easy to make porcini powder. All you do is take the dried porcini mushrooms and you pulverize it. I have a spice grinder that I use for spices, and I've made porcini powder. Very easy to make.
And it's great. I use it in a lot of soups. I use it as a thickening agent. I'll also use it as a rub on things. And then for here, it's just going to add that. And then again, how much you want to use, a little bit, a lot, a couple of tablespoons, which, that's probably close.
Now I could have gone a little bit longer on these, but we do for time purposes, we're going to just
And again,
go
you
ahead.
don't need to cook them all the way through because it's going to go in the crock
Because it's going
pot.
to cook all night long.
Another thing that I've noticed with crock pot meat is that a person will say, put even a roast in. So
Oh,
the roast
absolutely.
goes in and it's in for about 6 hours.
But
And
you
people
always want to
it's
sear
a-
it first
Yeah,
because you want to
sear
get the caramelization on the outside. That will help intensify the flavor. And then, any kind of brown on the bottom of the pan, unless it's burned, you don't want to use the burn. But if you use the brown, scrape the bits or
Well, actually, what we've got to
reduce
scrape
it,
the black,
right.
we're going to deglaze
deglaze
with a
it.
little red
Right.
wine.
You're not going to want to use a tenderloin of beef or a higher end cut of meat because you do want some. You do want some marbleization in the meat, but you don't want something that's too tender because you're going to be tenderizing it through long cooking process.
So you can take a cut of meat that's relatively inexpensive and
Okay.
really just make it.
So
knock it
for
out of the
TV
park.
purposes, we're not going to brown all this meat.
No,
We're
we're just going to brown it. We're just going to deglaze
Deglaze.
a little wine.
And
get
that's
all
a
those
precise
spices.
measurement, right, Eric?
Yeah, it's
He always
whatever
says
we
that.
didn't drink last night.
Okay.
And
That doesn't happen at my house. I don't know about you, but
with beef, any sort of thing, we made this dish and we used a red Zinfandel, but we lost a little bit of that wine, so I've gone with a cab
okay.
on this. Got a little bit more body to it, and you can taste it, especially when you're making the gravy. Okay, so for TV purposes, we're going to assume that this is all cooked and ready to go, and that just goes into the crock pot.
Okay. Do we want to throw the rest?
We'll
of
just
this
throw
in?
the rest in. So we'll
I'm
throw
gonna
the
wash
rest
my
in
hands real quick.
there. And we have the beef base in there already. So next what we want to do is take our king oysters. So for demonstration purposes here, let's bring the crock pot right over so we can see right in here. Now pretend this meat's all nice and brown.
We're going to fit all this in here, aren't
Well, what you do is you try to fit in as many king oysters as you can. I have the benefit of growing these, so they're just in my fridge / walk-in cooler.
we? Yes.
All right, so what's nice, when we're growing king oysters, we actually have 5 sizes of king oysters. Everything from a mini, which can be this small, to a jumbo that weighs almost
Baby.
a pound. For this dish, I use the minis because, well, I'm lazy and I don't like cutting anything up.
Right.
And again, remember, the mushrooms are mostly water.
Right.
So they're going to
What
break
percentage
down.
of water are most mushrooms? Do
Again,
they
it
vary?
depends on the species.
Okay.
It depends on the species. But you can be anywhere between 75 and 95%
Wow.
water, depending on the species. Ours generally have a moisture content of about 77%.
Okay, so that looks pretty good, right?
And then what I do, and this isn't fancy because it is going to cook down, I just push the mushrooms down into there.
Okay.
Okay. So we have all the mushrooms in there, and I noticed also where we can only put a little bit of wine left in here. Cooking with wine in dishes is like cooking with bacon. So if the dish calls for like a pound of bacon,
You always add more.
get 2 pounds of bacon. You know, if it calls for, you know, a bottle of wine, you know, get like
One and a half.
four bottles of
Four
wine.
bottles? Wow,
Four
he's a real
bottles of-
boozer
yeah,
here.
Right. Well, I'm a large man,
I haven't noticed.
but I'm a light drinker. Okay.
Because he cooks
so
with it all. He
again,
doesn't have
this
any
is also again a really precise measurement. You're sorry, Bob.
Now, is there any specific? So, do we? Are we going to add any more liquid to this?
We
in
are going to
addition
add
to-
more
okay.
liquid. So what's nice with that beef base in there, that when we add just water to it now, which we can get,
Yep.
I don't necessarily need to cover the mushrooms,
Okay.
because remember that moisture is going to come out of those mushrooms as they cook.
How much water?
We'll go
you tell
until
me.
just to, you know, about a quarter
okay,
inch
so
below
I'm gonna
that.
go with a
Yeah,
little bit
we'll
more.
go with a whole bunch. So while you're doing that, you know what's nice about the mushrooms that we grow is we grow them all in wood. And when we're done growing them, that wood substrate, that base that we have, we now make into a compost.
Yes.
And that compost is great for growing herbs and vegetables and things. I did an experimental garden last summer. This happens to be rosemary that I grew using my waste,
Nice.
which is good. I didn't have time to do it tonight, but what is really nice, and I think I'll do it in the future, is this is rosemary, and we've got some thyme. If you take a little string and you just bundle this together, because stripping all the leaves and everything off from rosemary, it's really labor intensive. Is that a word?
Really?
Well,
Go
listen,
like that?
but you're a chef and I have mittens for fingers.
Okay. If you say so.
So all you just do this. Just do that.
And it'll fall
Yep.
off through
And
the
it'll fall
time,
off,
and then you just pick
pick
the
some
little.
sticks out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
I was just messing with you. I like to.
I
It's
know.
not that difficult.
And then guess what? You're done. You put the lid on it and it goes on low. In the morning, stir it a couple
Now,
of times.
we don't add any salt.
No.
Additional salt.
Well, here's the thing. We added salt to the flour
Right.
and pepper to the
And
flour.
also that beef
Right.
concentrate has a lot of, probably some sodium in there, correct?
And then it looks like a lot of volume because those mushrooms cook down. Usually what I'll do is one final. Remember, I can always add it. I
Right.
can't take it away.
That's correct.
And then, just a little pepper, so when I look at it cooking at night, it doesn't look like a tie-dye shirt,
Excellent.
because the wine really does.
Nothing wrong with
stain
a
us.
little tie-dye shirt. You got a little hippie in you. I know you do.
A little. No,
Little
I'm not a
flower
hippie at
top.
all. I have hippie values.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Oh,
I'm
you're
pretty
not a
straight
hippie.
edge.
Okay.
I'm just a straight edge mushroom farmer. Okay, so base dish is done. All right, that goes in the crock pot. You can eat
Overnight
it
if we want.
overnight if you want.
Excellent.
Okay, so now we come to our next step. So once we've done, and I'll show you here in the pan, what I've done is I've taken some of the liquid off. It has some of the rosemary, some of the thyme. I just did it with a ladle, put it into a saucepan, and put that right onto high heat. Okay? As that's going on high heat, and actually you taught me this recipe, I had a hard time making gravy.
It's
Basically
not that
because I
difficult.
didn't own a whisk or an immersion blender. I had a spoon.
We have an immersion blender here too, if you'd like.
No, that's
Okay.
a lot of cleanup.
Actually, it's really easy. We have a dishwasher too.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that works.
and his name's not Julio. We have a dishwasher right here. You just turn it on and we're good to go.
My
how
dishwasher is
easy that
named
is?
Eric. Luckily enough for me, my kitchen is so small that in order to cook again, you
Yeah,
have to do the
right.
dishes.
Okay, so
Okay, so we're gonna do a really easy sort of gravy. So if you take, say, in equal parts butter and flour, like you're making a roux, but don't cook your roux. And you said, what is it? The butter doesn't have to be super soft.
just soft. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be melted, but it's just soft enough, sitting at room temperature for a couple hours, and equal parts. And you just knead it together.
Yeah, you just kind of knead it together here.
And that
on loose.
incorporates the flour into the butter, similar to a roux, where it is equal parts combination of fat and flour. And usually when making a roux, you're cooking the butter and the flour at the beginning of the sauce making process. This is added after. Called
And what
a
this is-
beurre meunier. You were calling it a Burmese python?
A Burmese python,
Is that
yes.
the way that you remembered stuff, is just by giving it a funky name?
Well, no, it had the same sort of amount of syllables, and it had the same, but I kept calling it bolognese too.
Are you thinking
That's a meat, is that a meat sauce?
Bolognese?
Bolognese.
Yes. Actually, I'm making that on the next show.
Really?
Yeah, it's
What's
really
the one with cream?
It has milk, actually.
It has milk.
It's
A
the
bolognese.
last dish, the bolognese.
See?
You'll have to stick around.
Right.
and hang out. And I made a lovely bolognese.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so now our base is ready. I'm going to wash my hands real quick, and then I'm going to start the gnocchi. Now, this dish here, you could put on pretty much anything that you want. I've put it on open-faced crusty bread. I've also put it on top of polenta.
Would
Which
you
was
add a
really
little
quite
cheese
good.
to that polenta, maybe?
Little
or-
cheese to the cheese to the pimento. Wow, that did not sound
Cheese to
right.
the polenta. Yeah, it is
Cheese
kind
to
of
the
hard to say.
polenta. Even a risotto is nice.
Perfect. Yeah.
But I had some gnocchi.
Perfect.
So gnocchi it is.
And gnocchi's simple potato dumpling. Little pillows is what gnocchi
Yeah,
means.
little pillows. Here's gnocchi if you've never used it before.
You can buy it fresh. You can buy it frozen. You can make it yourself.
Yeah.
Very
These
exciting.
cook very, very quickly as
Very
well.
quickly.
What you want to do is get a lot more water than you think you need.
Mm-hmm.
So for, say, a 1 pound package, you really do want about a gallon of water
And
boiling.
you didn't make this by hand this morning?
I did not make this. No. It's on my bucket list. I
can
just need
teach
to
you.
get
It's
I need a
very-
pasta machine.
It's very. Actually, you don't need you don't use a pasta machine for this.
Use a fork.
See, he's making the comment of the pasta machine because you borrowed my pasta machine how long ago?
I think it's 8 months now.
Okay.
But what was I using?
Thankfully-
What was I using it for?
Pasta.
It was not pasta.
Oh, you were making like mushroom pasta.
So our king oysters are large ones, the jumbos. I cut them really thinly and then put them through the pasta cutter, so I made it into angel hair pasta.
But he can borrow my pasta machine anytime he wants because he left me a big box in exchange for borrowing it, a big box of fresh mushrooms.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the bartering system is alive and well.
I like it. Rock on. Okay.
Okay, so you throw the gnocchi
Gnocchi's
into the
cooking.
salted boiling water.
And this isn't coming up to a boil yet. Why is it's
Well,
on
it's
high?
on high,
It
yeah.
says, oh, here we
It's
go. Let's
thinking
see.
about it.
Element size. Let's go bigger.
Okay. Oh,
That's
yeah.
why we weren't getting the caramelization on the meat either because we were.
And
See,
what a
we're
nice-
learning. This is the first time in the kitchen here, in this lovely kitchen here at House to Home.
What a
We're-
nice
we're learning.
profile stove too.
is
So
beautiful.
if you're having guests over, you can cook and have a bar set up where people are sitting there and you can talk to them and cook for them.
And drink wine. Like I have a glass of wine on the side here, so I'll have to drink the wine. While we're talking about House to Home, as I'd mentioned, they are a sponsor of the Home Flower Garden Show Mayfair coming up in Freiburg this May. And if you have a chance when you're in North Conway, please come around to the House to Home by Chick Lumber. It is at 1618 White Mountain Highway in North Conway. They have an amazing array of beautiful kitchen stations set up throughout with all different kind of appliances, different cabinets, different knobs, and they have, not only do they have kitchen items to take a look at, but they also have flooring, amazing lighting. I mean, it's a beautiful showroom, and you need to come in here and thank them for being a sponsor and sharing this lovely kitchen with us. And as we do more of these cooking shows, Meet the Chef series, we are planning on utilizing some of the other kitchens so you guys can take a peek from your comfort of your own home and take a peek of what we're doing in the various kitchens. If you have a home renovation, if you're building new, definitely check this place out. They have staff that really is knowledgeable and they know what they're talking about. So we have a boil here to...
You have a boil there. So we
have
got
a
two
boil.
things going at once. As soon as the gnocchi comes back up to a boil, it takes just a couple of minutes.
So we're going to add the beurre Meunier in just little chunks here.
And
And I'm
whisk
not
it
going to
in.
add all of it at once just because we don't know how thick the sauce is going to be. Because, again, we didn't really measure anything here. But one thing, again, when you're making a beurre Meunier, it's 50-50 approximately. 50% fat, butter, softened butter, 50% flour. If you have any leftover, or you can make a big batch of it and you can keep it in your freezer and just break off little pieces as you need it. It's super easy. How are we doing in terms of the thickness? We need a little bit more?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're ready to add more.
That's my one pretty plate.
That's your one pretty plate?
Yes.
It's lovely. I won't break.
Our gnocchi is just starting to float in the water, which gives you an idea that it is ready to go.
Rock and roll.
We'll see how warm that is. It's not warm at all.
Colander.
Colander. So you've got to be careful with gnocchi too, because it can get a little bit sticky because it's a potato starch.
Right.
So if it is a little bit sticky, if you've got a saucepan going with your gravy, throw it in there and it loosens them up.
Do you want me to throw this right on the plate?
Yeah, go for it. Right onto the
Thank
plate.
you. Also, depending on the gnocchi, this is a nice tight gnocchi, but I find that when I make them from scratch, sometimes I don't put enough flour in them and they get really soft, sometimes too soft. These are nice and firm, so they're going to take the beating a little bit better than most. All right, chef, what's next?
So we've got a giant bowl of the stuff that I've already taken out of it. And you can see that the mushrooms have really cooked down. You can see the rosemary and the thyme, and you can see that the stew beef has broken down. Now this is a stick to your ribs kind of dinner. Cold winter nights. The wind is blowing about 97 miles an hour.
Nice and hearty.
Yep.
So this is a meal in itself. You can just serve it up with like a nice loaf of crusty bread and a salad. And
What we did the other day was actually to have a little bit of veg on it. We did some carrots with dill. A lot of dill with carrots, and it worked out great. The only one thing you want to do is to dress it up a little bit, because it does have a little bit of a blandness color-wise, is I just take a little bit of the reserve thyme, and then I just garnish the top of that. One, it makes the plate look a lot better, and two, it brings that fresh thyme in.
Sure.
So that it's in the dish and kind of brings those herbs back to the front.
Right. Sounds delicious.
And then you can salt and pepper to taste. You could throw some cheese on that, you know, a little bit of bread, a couple of glasses of wine. And
sauce?
Oh, yeah, you probably want some gravy on it.
Want some
That's
gravy
what it
on
needs,
top.
some gravy. Pretend the time's not there.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
pretend. Do you want me to pick it off?
No, we have more time.
Okay, we have more time.
No, we don't have time.
We're
If I talk too much
but
again,
we're running out of time.
we always run out of time.
We always run out of time when
get
he
chatty.
talks.
All right.
All right.
So this is a little bit looser than I usually make, but there you go.
Excellent.
Dinner.
Grab your fork, my friend.
I
Let's
don't
chat.
eat mushrooms.
You're funny. He's allergic. Okay, this smells amazing. No, I don't want to take too big of a bite.
No, you gotta get a perfect bite. So grab a
Perfect.
mushroom.
I have a
grab
mushroom.
a gnocchi.
I'm grabbing a gnocchi.
Drag it by your fresh thyme there.
My fresh, right there to get the
Oh
waft
wait,
of it.
no, hold on. You have no beef.
Oh gosh,
Where's the beef?
where's the beef? Okay, now I'm gonna.
Wow,
But I
1984
still
call.
have
They
to-
want that joke back.
Thank you so much for watching our Meet the Chef series with Eric Milligan from New Hampshire Mushroom Company. Make sure that you have a chance to go to newhampshiremushroomco.com. Is that correct?
Nope.
No,
It's
I'm
not
sorry.
right.
See?
It's nhmushrooms.com.
nhmushrooms.com.
And you can also find us on Facebook. And then for the beef.
And the beef.
Yep. The Meat House, CJ Farm. You can also find them on Facebook as well.
Excellent. And also, we have to thank our sponsor for the Home Garden Flower Show, Mayfair. The sponsor is House to Home. And again, they're located at 1618 White Mountain Highway. Come on into their showroom. You can check out their website. They'll tell you all the things the beautiful, wonderful things that they have available here, and talk to some of the fantastic salespeople. They know what they're doing. We're going to eat. We're out of here. Thanks for showing up again, my friend.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Love you, my friend.
We'll work together because I'm at the Home and Flower Garden Show too.
Rock on. Take care. See you soon.